ends well.
Some people say another day, another Souls-like. Every game now with dodge, parry, and above average difficulty is a Souls-like. But this one caught my attention. If you haven't heard of it yet, AI Limit is a new Souls-like developed by Sense Games, a Chinese studio that's part of the PlayStation China Hero project, which is an initiative that supports indie devs in China. The biggest hit we got from that initiative was Black Myth Wukong, and even the upcoming Phantom Blade Zero is made under that initiative. It seems as if they're just pumping Souls-likes from China, it's crazy. But hey, if they're good, the more the merrier, I can't complain. AI Limit is set to release this March, and even though it's published by Sony, the PC release isn't delayed. Both PC and PS5 come out on the 27th of March, which also happens to be the same release date as the first Berserker Kazan, which also has a demo out already. And you can check out my breakdown of that demo in the link above. I think there's definitely a buzz surrounding AI Limit, so I played the demo to get you all the juicy details. On first look, it's very easy to see Code Vein here, and you wouldn't be alone. That's the comment I saw the most on my previous Souls-like list video. And it's a good thing. Code Vein was a cool game, so we know at least that style works. One more anime Souls-like isn't a bad idea. What makes it a Souls-like, I guess, is the usual. Intricate combat, tight mechanics, dodges and parries, with the well-timed versions of those giving you an advantage. Bosses or even trash mobs that can punish your mistakes harshly and even kill you in a couple of hits. And the permanent tension of knowing if you die, everything will respawn and you lose your money. First thing, the performance. I'm playing on PC, and the game was pretty stable for the whole demo, staying in the range of 120 to 140 FPS with the highest settings. Some fluctuation, but never noticeable dips. For reference, my spec is on the screen. We can see here the graphic settings look quite simple, with no DLSS even, which tells me this is a shameless console port to PC for sure. But hey, if it performs well, then at least that's what really matters. You can also use your PS5 controller on PC, and the game picks up the controller right away once you connect it, and it maps the correct PlayStation layout to the buttons. The demo begins with your character waking up in a sewer, kind of like you wake up in Code Vein Intro 2. The first thing you'll run into is this game's unique take on the stamina gauge. There isn't one. You can freely dodge roll without fear of running out of stamina, which changes the pacing of combat quite a bit. The game introduces a unique system called sync rate, a bar that fills as you land attacks and decreases when you take damage. This bar essentially acts as a resource and a self buff, directly impacting your combat effectiveness. A high sync rate boosts your damage, while a low sync rate can result in penalties, including stuns if the gauge is completely depleted. This mechanic pushes the high risk and reward element in combat. It pushes you to be aggressive, because if you land more hits, you'll get stronger, but the risk of getting hit means you get even weaker. You also have spells and abilities that are tied to this system. Like I said, the bar is also a spender, so if it caps at 100%, you have a boost to damage, but you can also spend a chunk of the bar on special abilities, and then you land more hits to fill it up again. Combat feels pretty dynamic. In the demo, you get introduced to parry and a shield, and you can alternate between them like equipment, so it's either or, because they get activated with the same button. The parry is another high risk, high reward option, where if you land the perfect timed parry, you stun the enemy instantly and get a free high damage attack. But if you miss, you'll take damage, which will cost health and sync meter. While with the shield, you can just block, and with enough blocks, you will be able to charge your shield and double tap the button for a powerful shield attack. It's surely a risky versus safe playstyle choice, but sometimes it's adaptability, where the boss can make you feel it's better to use either of those options. And I think the game gives us a good example because the final boss in the demo was like that. In this first phase, he was much easier to parry, but his second phase, he was too quick and erratic, it forced me to switch to shield. Or I'm trash. Monster variety seemed okay. Even mobs that look similar have different sizes and abilities. Some are too fast and nimble, and some have a freaking boomstick of a pipe that hurts like hell. You seemingly can also run into some special bladers like you. I don't know how special those fights are. It could be tied to the lore, so it's not clear yet, but in the demo you just run into one. Enemies also aren't all allied against you. There seems to be some difference in enemy types or factions. Those androids, for example, will attack monsters on sight, which you can use strategically. Some of the enemy design is a little frustrating because there are attacks that seem to just come out of nowhere. The wind up is too quick, so the first time you run into that type of mob, you'll eat those attacks straight to the face, which might be too annoying if it keeps happening with every new type you meet. The UI is that of a Souls-like, pretty simple, not cluttered or unnecessarily complex, even though the game seems to offer quite a bit of customization. The branches are your bonfires, and in there you can do the usual, spend your Souls currency to get attribute points or enhance your weapons. And speaking of weapons, there seems to be so many. I think drops in the demo are random, so if you play through it multiple times, you might find different weapons, but I'm not sure if all weapons can potentially drop in the demo. But when you finish the demo, the game unlocks a new mode for you, which is a boss rush, and in there, you can see a glimpse of the variety of weapons you can use. You can equip 2 melee weapons, and you can freely switch between them mid-combat, and there doesn't seem to be any weight limit. So AI limit has no weight limit. The art style is one that I like, and as subjective as that is, I think the aesthetic is cool and it works. It's a blend of depressed dystopian environments and a bit of a futuristic sci-fi feel. The game difficulty in general seems pretty moderate. The only challenge was the final boss, and it's mostly his second phase, where he goes nuts and jumps all over the place, which makes it harder to actually telegraph his abilities, especially if you're seeing it for the first time like I mentioned. In conclusion, I think the game is pretty promising. I don't have any major gripes with it. Some of the design choices make the combat feel a bit clunky, but that's a bit hard to be objective about. I just feel that the combat is a little bit off, and I'm not sure why exactly. It's also a weird choice that it seems like you're not allowed to jump. There's no jumping, but then halfway through the demo, I realized that there is a little jump or hop, but you can only do it from running. The other problem is the fact that this game is coming out on the same day as the first Berserker Kazan, and I don't even know which would harm the other, if at all anyway. They're both not really online games, but because they have a big overlap in interest as they appeal to the same players mostly. It seems unfair that they clash on release date like this, but we'll see on the 27th of March, I guess. I'm hoping there's more settings to control graphics on PC, even though I'm not sure if that's doable in less than 2 months if the game was just ported from PlayStation as it is in the demo. The demo has great replay value because when you unlock the boss rush mode, you can just play around with weapon variety and upgrading and testing all sorts of builds you think you might like when the full game comes out. This is a beefy demo, so if you're interested in trying the game, it does offer a good litmus test for you to make up your mind. And if you enjoy it, then there's some meat to it and you can actually enjoy experimenting for quite a bit. Those are my thoughts after playing the demo and the things I noticed. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this game, or if you've played the demo, what are your impressions. Thank you for your time, and please remember to hit the like, sub, and ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.